Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Step to the Ropes Volume 18. One of my favorite big men in wrestling growing up was John Tenta, best known as Earthquake in the WWF. In 1989, he was sitting in the crowd as a plant during a push-up contest pitting Dino Bravo against the Ultimate Warrior. Sad, all three of those men are gone now. And Quake came from the crowd, and he's sitting on Bravo's back as he's doing push-ups. Warrior came out to do push-ups, and Quake literally jumps to the point where he tries to crush the Warrior's back, and Quake and Bravo double team the Warrior and do a number on him, which led up to the Warrior and Bravo starting like a house show program near the end of 1989 up until early 1990 when Warrior defeated Bravo on a live version of the main event from Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Now, Earthquake was fortunate to be on Survivor Series 1989. He replaced the Widowmaker, Barry Windham, who was, I guess, gone from the company by that point, in the King's Court Survivor Series team, which consisted of Bravo, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and Macho King Randy Savage, as they were victorious over the 4x4s, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Bret the Hitman Hart, Rugged Ronnie Garvin, and the late Hercules. Quake eliminated Hercules, eliminated from the matchup, and basically the Quake, Savage, and Bravo were the survivors of that matchup. Then came the Royal Rumble in 1990. He was still billed as the Canadian Earthquake, being he was billed from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He hit the ring and he quickly eliminated the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and Demolition Axe in a matter of like 20, 30 seconds of each other. But then all of a sudden, I guess as a way to build, because I guess the WWF was planning to build him up as a real threat, because usually this is what happens with big men in Royal Rumbles or Battle Royals. It took 5 men to eliminate the Earthquake from the Royal Rumble matchup. It was Haku, Ted DiBiase, Smash from Demolition, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It took 5 men collectively to get Earthquake out of there. Then, as I previously mentioned, Warrior wrestled Bravo on the live broadcast of the main event, February 1990. After the match, Earthquake attacked the Warrior, and Warrior was down on the mat. Quake was about to jump off the second rope, but Hulk Hogan, who was about to face the Warrior at WrestleMania 6, Hogan standing between a prone Warrior and Quake on the second rope, and Quake, I think, got distracted by either Jimmy Hart or Bravo, and Hogan hit Earthquake, knocking him to the floor, which I guess was a prelude of things, a foreshadow of things to come. WrestleMania 6 arrived. Earthquake defeated Hercules in a matchup, and then where I don't think Quake only went down to one knee in that matchup. But from there, after WrestleMania 6, Quake and Hulk Hogan started doing house shows together. They did one in Madison Square Garden where Hogan was victorious on a disqualification because I believe Jimmy Hart interfered. But at a Superstars of Wrestling taping, can't even remember where it was, Hogan and Quake were to be guests on the Brother Love show. Jimmy Hart comes out without the Earthquake, claiming he was sick, and Hart and Hogan are arguing, but Earthquake comes from behind, hits Hogan with a chair, and hits him with not one, not 2, but 3 Earthquake vertical splashes, where he basically gets a running start, leaps, and sits on Hogan's chest on 3 occasions. And, they tried, this was an angle done to, because Hogan was taking time off to go film Suburban Commando, and also I understand Hulk's son Nick was born, and they tried to try to make you believe at that time that Hogan's career was over, because They had to stretcher him off the set of the Brother Love show. Vince McMahon left the broadcast booth, took his suit jacket off and put it on Hogan. And when I first saw that, it was reminiscent to me of the time Hogan was attacked by King Kong Bundy on Saturday Night's Main Event prior to WrestleMania 2. But it got to the point where, like, the Tugboat, who debuted in that year, and he was trying to lead the charge and try to write into the fans, please convince Hulk to come back. And eventually, Hulk came on TV. It was announced that Hogan was going to have a big announcement to make the following week. And when the announcement came, Hogan, at first, he's all cool, calm, and collective. He didn't even, he wasn't, you didn't hear him as Hulk Hogan. You could hear his actual voice. He kind of sounds like this when he's not being Hulk Hogan. But the point was, it sounded like he talked about the attack, and he, at first you were starting to think, he's going to announce that he can't wrestle anymore, that he's going to retire. But then as the promo went on, that Hulk Hogan voice started to come out, and he announced that he had signed to face Earthquake at SummerSlam 1990. So, all the people who loved Hogan at the time, they were probably all jumping for joy about Hogan returning. And let me see. Yeah, so SummerSlam 90 arrives, and Hogan wrestles Earthquake one-on-one in a big grudge match. Quake not only has Jimmy Hart, but Dino Bravo in his corner. Hogan was supposed to have Tugboat in his corner, but on Superstars a week before SummerSlam 90 took place, Tugboat was attacked by Earthquake and Bravo and seemingly put on the shelf. And Hogan announced on the Brother Love show that the Big Boss Man would be in his corner. Now, going into this was quite a build to this match and everything that went down. And the match went on, and it should show you, I guess, I don't know, but I sensed a change at the time of the WWF. Because the thing is this, Earthquake's finisher was protected, at least up until this match, because he hit Hogan not one, but two Earthquake splashes. And Hogan kicked out at 2 because basically, not because it's Hulk Hogan, but you figure months earlier, Quake attacked Hogan from behind and he gave 3 Earthquake splashes, and, Hogan was stretchered out. And, they try to make it seem more real as well. After the bell rang, Vince McMahon, who commentated the show with Roddy Piper, McMahon would say, will history repeat itself? Will Hulk Hogan once again leave on a stretcher? And Piper was saying, well, if Hogan leaves on a stretcher this time, you might as well say bye-bye, because he's not going to be able to sustain another injury like he did before. And the match was on. Definitely, not surprisingly, Bravo and Bossman got involved. And at one point, let me see, Jimmy Hart even got in the ring at one point. But really, they did well in this matchup, and the match ended with Hart accidentally hitting Earthquake with the megaphone, and then Hogan body slamming Earthquake on a table that did not break, and Hogan won the match by countout. Now, it was kind of, that to me, that was like the right call, right ending. It was not a clean ending, as we know, because you figure, Quake was built as this monster that was going through everybody, especially most of his opponents were leaving the ring on a stretcher, namely Hillbilly Jim, on a Saturday Night's Main Event that aired in April of 1990. I believe that might have been the last time Hillbilly Jim wrestled. But yeah, the point is, because it was Hogan's comeback, so obviously he wasn't going to lose. But after the match, Quake attacked Hogan from behind. He grabbed his neck, he held him up, but Bossman came in the ring with a metal chair. He hit Bravo with it, and he hit Earthquake like 3 times in the back. And after the 3rd time, Quake finally let Hogan go. And they even did an interview after their match. And Quake, you see the marks on his back from that chair the Bossman used on him. So obviously the feud was not over. Saturday Night's Main Event, which aired October of 1990, Quake and Bravo attacked Hogan and Tugboat after their match with Rhythm and Blues, and Tugboat managed to get one of the guitars from Rhythm and Blues and saved Hogan from being injured by Earthquake again. And then the Survivor Series came as Hulk and Earthquake captain teams, Hulkamaniacs, Hogan, Tugboat, Bossman, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan against the Natural Disasters team captained by Quake, Dino Bravo, the Barbarian, and Haku, who had replaced Ravishing Rick Rude, who had some point before maybe a month before the show happened, he was gone from the company. And Quake and Tugboat were counted out, and Hogan sole survived the match. Then came the 1991 Royal Rumble. Earthquake, I forgot what number he drew, but Hogan entered at number 24. Quake, along the way, eliminated Tito Santana, Road Warrior Animal. He and Brian Knobbs and the Nasty Boys eliminated Davey Boy Smith. Quake also eliminated Bushwhacker Luke, which lasted about 4 seconds. It took 4 seconds, I believe. Then eventually came down to Hogan and Earthquake, and Hogan eliminated Earthquake to win the 1991 Royal Rumble matchup. Then it seemed like Earthquake took a bit of a step down, because I know leading up to WrestleMania 7, Hulk did wrestle Earthquake in a stretcher match at Nassau Coliseum. I think they did other stretcher matches against each other on house shows that Hogan was victorious in. And sadly, the Hulk Earthquake feud never did get a proper ending. But, as I said, Quake kind of took a step down because at WrestleMania 7, Quake faced Greg the Hammer Valentine, who had turned face a few months earlier and broke away from Jimmy Hart. And Quake defeated Valentine with the Earthquake Splash. Then on a Superstars episode, Quake was coming out with Jimmy Hart for his match, but Jake the Snake Roberts, who had just previously wrestled his match, he has his snake Damien around his neck, and he scared Earthquake with it, and that was just a recycling of the phobia of snakes, which Jake had done previously with Andre the Giant, 1988 to 89, and not even a whole full year since he had done it with Bad News Brown. Talk about a repetitive angle back in those days. However, they finally, at a taping in Las Vegas, Nevada, they were supposed to go one-on-one, and the odd thing was Quake attacked Roberts, and then before the bell rang, I had this on tape somewhere, I don't think I have the tape anymore, and Roberts retaliated on Quake and took Damien out of the bag. Quake got scared. He and Jimmy Hart were leaving, and they're saying, "We're not doing this match, that snake in the ring." And another referee said, no, you guys signed the contract, you do the match. And Jake was told by the referees to put the snake back in the bag, and then they tell him, no, put the bag under the ring. And Jake did that, and Jake's distracted by Jimmy Hart. Quake attacks Roberts from behind, eventually ties him to the rope, and pulled the bag containing Damien in it. And he says, "You are going to see the Quake squash the snake." And Quake, jumped up and down like multiple times. It hit like 2 or 3 vertical splashes on the bag. And then finally, Jimmy Hart even stopped the referee from untying Roberts from the ropes. And Roberts finally broke loose. Roberts opened up the bag. And, we found out the truth. It wasn't really Damien in the bag. But, I'm sure they might have gotten some complaints from animal cruelty in those days. Wouldn't surprise me. And then they did house shows throughout the spring and summer of 1991. Sadly, another feud or program that didn't get a proper ending. But then Quake caught a bit of a break when Tugboat had turned heel on the Bushwhackers and a 6-man tag against Quake and the Nasty Boys. And then Tugboat was rechristened Typhoon, and he and Quake became a tag team as the Natural Disasters. And they defeated the Bushwhackers at SummerSlam 1991. And the Bushwhackers were going to attack Andre the Giant, who was in the Bushwhackers' corner for this match, because I forgot to mention Andre had been injured by earthquake in the spring of '91, and the Disasters were going to go after Andre, but out came the Legion of Doom, rest their souls, and to prevent that from happening, and as the Disasters were walking off, Andre hit each Quake and Typhoon with one of those metal canes he was walking on to get to the ring. And that night, Legion of Doom won the tag belts from the Nasty Boys, and they started having matches with Disasters around the horn. And that led up to the Survivor Series pay-per-view where the Disasters were going to join forces with Jake Roberts and IRS to face the LOD, Sid Justice, and the Big Boss Man. Now, unfortunately, Sid Justice suffered an arm injury, and there was talk that Macho Man Randy Savage would be reinstated to replace him, but that never happened. And the president at the time, Jack Tunney, decided to pull Jake Roberts out of the match, and it would be a 3-on-3 elimination match, which saw the Legion of Doom sole survive that one, as it was them and the Boss Man over IRS and the Natural Disasters. Then, in 1992 arrived. The Disasters challenged Legion of Doom for the tag belts. The Disasters had won the match by countout, but obviously did not get the tag team championship. And now here's something that puzzles me. I don't know if this is true at all. The Legion of Doom eventually lost the tag team championship to Money Incorporated. Now, I don't know if this was a phantom match / title change, or the Disasters cost the Legion of Doom the match. But I do understand the tag belts were taken off the LOD because Hawk had failed a drug test. And initially, the Legion of Doom were going to face the Disasters in a street fight at WrestleMania 8. And I remember the WWF magazine that had a preview of WrestleMania 8 in it. Money Incorporated was going to wrestle Sergeant Slaughter and Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the tag belts. But instead, they got changed as Money Inc. faced the now babyface Natural Disasters for the tag belts, and the Disasters won that match by countout. Did not get the belts that night, but they eventually won the belts in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I think the match eventually got put on one of those Coliseum video tapes that they used to do in the past. The Disasters ended up champions, and they defended the belts at Wembley Stadium in London, England, defeating the Beverly Brothers. And eventually the Disasters lost the belts back to Money Incorporated at a Wrestling Challenge taping in, I believe, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, after the Head Shrinkers had distracted the Disasters at one point in the matchup. Should be noted that prior to this match, Money Incorporated were attacked by the Nasty Boys, who were angry at Jimmy Hart for not getting the tag titles shot. Then, Survivor Series, the Disasters were initially going to team with the Bushwhackers to face Money Inc. and the Beverly Brothers, but then the Nasty Boys replaced the Bushwhackers, the team of the Disasters, and the Nasty Boys survived that matchup in a winning effort. The Disasters, I don't know if they got to work tag matches with the Head Shrinkers before or after Survivor Series, but at the 1993 Royal Rumble, both Disasters were in the match, and they actually butted heads with each other, and Earthquake ended up eliminating his partner, Typhoon, which resulted in... And I think Quake eventually got eliminated by the late Yokozuna, who won that very matchup. And by WrestleMania 9, Earthquake was out of the WWF, and that ended his first run. So what do you think of that run, guys, about the late John Tenta as Earthquake from 1989 to 93? A heck of a run, or it could have been more? I hope you'll want to see more. I'll have more topics of Steps to the Ropes.